Hello, welcome to the fourth lesson. This one is called Beliefs. Let's get started. Beliefs are another important part of managing your psychology, of strengthening your psychology, so that you will learn English, or anything in fact, much faster. And there are two kinds of beliefs, two general categories of beliefs: limiting and empowering. Let's talk about limiting beliefs first. Now, limiting means limit is something that stops you. It's like a boundary. It stops you from going ahead. So a limiting belief is a belief that stops you from improving, a belief that stops you from getting better. And I'd say most English students have limiting beliefs. And many English students have very strong limiting beliefs. I call these beliefs English trauma. And I got that name from a few of my Japanese students. They would tell me, AJ, I can't speak English well because I have English trauma. What is English trauma? What is that? What are they talking about? Well, trauma means some kind of injury, some kind of hurt, emotional hurt, deep emotional hurt. So what they mean is that they had some very negative, painful experiences with English in the past. In other words, when they were in school, in English classes, or even as adults going to other English schools, they had very negative experiences. And all these negative experiences have created some very negative beliefs, some very limiting beliefs. For example, they say, I'm not good at English. Well, that's a belief. It may be true, it may not be true, but it's an opinion, it's a belief that they have. Another belief, a very common belief, English is difficult. Or English is complicated. Well, that's just a belief. For me, English is very easy because I'm a native speaker. Just like your native language for you is very easy. Tomoe can speak Japanese fluently because she's Japanese. So I might say, Japanese is difficult. And she would say, no, Japanese is super easy. These are just beliefs that come from our experiences. The problem is these limiting beliefs limit us. They, in fact, do limit us. They stop us from getting better. They cause a lot of problems for us as students, as learners. I have them too. As I try to learn Japanese, for example, I have a lot of these limiting beliefs, I realize. I think, oh, Japanese is so difficult. Japanese is complicated. Just look at the writing system. It's so different from English. And these beliefs hurt my motivation. They lower my energy. And in fact, they're wrong. They're not true. Japanese does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be complicated. A small child, even a small American child, could learn Japanese very effortlessly, very easily. And the number one reason is they don't have the limiting beliefs. They can sing songs and play games and enjoy the language, and they'll learn it so quickly, so easily. They'll say, Japanese is easy. Well, it's the same with English, with you. You learned in a very painful, difficult way in the past. And so you created these beliefs in your head. English is difficult. English is boring. English is painful. I'm not good at English. I'll never speak excellent English. These are just beliefs. So how do you eliminate these beliefs? Okay, you have these beliefs, you know they're negative, you know they're not helping you. But we have to figure out, how can we get rid of the limiting beliefs? That's the first step. You have to weaken them. You have to make them weaker and weaker and weaker. You have to cut them down. Well, beliefs get stronger from references. A reference is just an experience or a memory. Sometimes it's just something you imagine, actually. But it's a specific experience or a specific imagination, a specific moment that makes the belief stronger or weaker. So, for example, you have this idea, English is painful and boring. And when you think of this belief, where does it come from? Well, you think of all these past experiences. You think of the time in middle school where your teacher corrected your mistake and you felt terrible. And you think of maybe the bad grades you got on the test or all the red marks on your English papers. And you start adding more and more and more memories, more of these negative experiences, these negative references. And if you get enough, you will develop a very strong, deep, powerful belief. English is difficult. English is painful. I'm not good at English. So to weaken these, you just have to question the references. You have to question the experiences. Take the power away from the experiences. And an easy way to do that is just to ask questions about them. For example, let me ask this question. Your past English schools, were they excellent? Were they just fantastic English schools with fantastic, amazing, fun, positive English teachers? Did you have a great time every day? Well, I know for most of you the answer is no. So that's interesting. So if your schools were not excellent, maybe the school was the problem. Maybe it's not you. Maybe your English is not great because you did not go to great schools. And did those schools that you went to, or the books you used, did they use proven methods? Did they use research-based methods? Did they know a lot about the research, about English learning, English teaching? Did they only use the best methods? Or did they just use the textbook that everybody else uses? Well, I know from my experience as a teacher, most schools just use the same textbooks. They don't know why. Maybe the boss tells them we must use this book. But they're not choosing the very, very best methods. They're not choosing the very, very best books. And so maybe the reason you believe English is difficult is because you used difficult methods in the past, or your teachers did. Maybe you think English is boring because in the past you used boring methods, you went to boring schools, you had boring teachers. Maybe English isn't the problem. Maybe it was these past experiences. Maybe it was the way you did it or where you did it. Ask yourself these questions. Think about them in detail. Weaken your limiting beliefs. Challenge your limiting beliefs.